Welcome to Tricky Mickey. Please subscribe, share, and like. In this episode, we're going to discuss the lost continent of Lemuria. Its history, tradition, mythology. What was Lemuria? Well, Lemuria was the Pacific Atlantis, which sank about 12,000 years ago, according to an expert. And his name was Colonel James Churchward, and the legend of Mu, as he called Lemuria. Colonel James Churchward spent 50 years investigating Asian culture and the legends of Lemuria, the lost sunken continent. And he wrote 5 authoritative books on his experience of 50 years researching the lost continent of Mu. In addition, he wrote, adding to the legend, The Children of Mu, which I recommend that you read because it's very, very intense in all of its specific information. In addition to this, he also wrote about the cosmic forces of Mu, what caused the sinking of that ancient continent in the Pacific Ocean. And he furthered that information with another book called The Sacred Symbols of Mu. And you can also find on the internet many of his other books that relate to this topic and to other topics. For example, like The Sacred Symbols of Mu. Now, according to his extensive research, he stated that this continent had 64 million people and that it had an existence of 50,000 years of civilization. He got all of this information from the mysterious Nakau tablets, which, as you can see in the pictures in front of you, were a very ancient form of writing that came in many different forms, and he spent a long time translating them, and that's how we got all the books and all the information. Needless to say, he said that this civilization was very advanced, comparable to the way Western civilization was in the first quarter of the 20th century. The ancient lost continent of Mu was destroyed by volcanic activities in one day and one night. And then the entire Pacific Ocean just overcame it, and it just sank to the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. Is there any evidence for this? Well, yes, there are circumstantial evidence. In the last ice age, when the sea levels were substantially lower, as you can see, New Zealand had more land exposed. Possibly, part of the legend of the ancient continent of Mu comes from the ancestral memory and word of mouth that was transferred from one generation to another. It is also scientifically proven that the last ice age allowed the continent of Australia to be connected to Indonesia and all the way up to Asia. This is also possibly a continuation of the legend. Near Japan, at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, you have these apparently man-made structures. You'll find that throughout the Pacific Islands, you have similarities in civilization, species, flora, fauna, and it's too much of a coincidence to not believe that there's some connection to the ancient lost continent of Lemuria, Mu, as Mr. Colonel James Churchward allured to in many of his writings. We need to keep an open mind and read his book extensively to get more detailed information about the ancient continent of Mu. He spent 50 years of his life, and he began to publish this back in 1926. You will also find scattered, even as far as Easter Island, the remnants of ancient civilizations. For example, we have on Easter Island all of these strange figures. How were they built? How were they dragged into their position? Science has many speculation as to how they came to be. Could they be the remnants of the ancient continent of Mu? Because as far as this great continent stretch in the Pacific Ocean. All the points that it touched, there seems to be connecting civilizations that now in our present time, due to the oceans being much more fuller, we have, due to the recess of the ice age, we have more ocean, and also all of these islands are now separate from each other. But what remains of an ancient civilization, which many archaeologists cannot pinpoint, they cannot totally explain, therefore the ancient continent of Mu cannot be explained away as just mere legend. It could be passed down by generation, word of mouth. Also, if we look into all of these civilizations, you will find that they have in their ancient writings something about a lost continent near their area. The ancient Mu continent was so widespread and big, as you can see in this diagram, that you can understand why, as far as Madagascar, Australia, and the subcontinent of India, you have this continuous legend. According to Indian ancient legend, there was this ancient continent where the people were so civilized that when their place started sinking, they came off into the Indian peninsula, and this is the origin of the Aryan race according to their belief system and their ancient culture. What have we learned from this? That all civilizations have their rise, their peak, and their eventual fall. Will this happen to us? In all probability, yes. What can we do? Well, we can try to preserve as much of our civilization as possible and spread out as much as possible throughout the world. But destiny will happen. How we affect our lives and our environment is totally up to us. Thank you for listening and watching. This is Tricky Mickey. Please subscribe, share, and like. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.